So here we are, the first week, first 7 days, 8 days, whatever, of 2025. And already, for those who've bothered to look, the clown show is in full swing. So in less than a few days, we've had all kinds of shenanigans going on. And we've obviously had these so-called typical events, you know, people getting run over, cars exploding, find out that all these people are all connected. Funny, innit, that they're all connected. I won't say too much with this, we'll just keep this short, but me and my old brother Serge, alright Serge, we're going to do a couple of things on all of this as well, and we're just really following the path of other people, you know. So you've had all this nonsense going on with that in the first few days. Then we get the so-called mush in Canada steps down, and of course the old Canadians are all jumping for joy, you know, without realising that that character is just another player in the big game, another WEF protege, served his time and now will disappear, probably reappear again somewhere along the lines like old Tony B. Liar, but there you go. And now you've got the good old US of A, used to be one of my favourite places, getting ready for the, getting ready for old DT to step back in, and now they're talking about acquiring Greenland, and if necessary, they didn't say they would do this, but when asked if you had to use military intervention, would you do so? The answer being, I'm not going to deny the possibility. Anyway, so also, which we heard today, the Gulf of Mexico to be renamed the Gulf of America. Plus, the Panama Canal, and again, good old DT saying that we actually own all that anyway. So it's like, oh really? We didn't know that. Just rubbish bullshit falling out of their mouths again, and everybody buying into it. And there's, you know, we've got 5 years now till they seal the big deal. Now, whether they're ever going to get to that point or not, I don't really know. But you know, talking to my brother, you know, who's a professional in certain fields, you know, we were asking the question: do any of these, let's just say, you know, the long arm of the law, people in the fire department, do you think any of these people are just scratching their heads going, hang on a minute, there's none of this adds up, right? Or are they all completely and utterly brainwashed or owned, right? I don't really understand how that kind of thing works, unless, like I said, they're all under threat. I don't know. But anyway, some amazing things have kicked off in the last few days, and it's only going to get worse. I mean, we personally don't really care. Doesn't bother us, doesn't scare us at all, as we've said. But there's a lot to look into, and I think the next 2 or 3 weeks especially are going to be a hoot. And isn't it funny how the last time that there was this election thing just happened to coincide with the old 91 divot, right? Funny that, isn't it? And now they're trying to roll it out again. You know, they're having a go at the old poulet, the old chickens, right? So that's the next thing. You know, they're coming for the food supply again. They're now telling you that the cows can catch various things and pass it on to people. Absolute nonsense, right? And as I said to my mum this morning over coffee, so our combined age between my mum and me and my brother is knocking on 200 years basically. 60 years each, and then my mum. Right, in that time, did we ever know anybody who'd succumbed to and left the realm due to your seasonal coughs and splutters? And the answer, of course, is absolutely not. Yet we're told that millions of people every year depart the realm because of this. Again, absolute rubbish. Of course it is. This is all part of the fearmongery. It's all part of keeping people, you know, in line and so on. And as we said, we were looking at this other stuff to do with these visas and things like that for people coming to different countries and so on. Should people have visas to go to countries? Yeah, absolutely they should. Of course they should, you know. But they're going to make it so difficult for your average person unless they follow the guidelines exactly, which means if you don't have the 5 things, and one of them includes a receipt of your ticket to the Britney Spears concert, you all know what that means, you won't be able to go anywhere, right? So they're gradually, slowly drip feeding these ideas, and I'm amazed when I was just having a right rant at home again, which I shouldn't do really. I was watching this guy, and he's one of these homesteader blokes, and he's really good, you know. And he was talking about the 2 real major things that are missing now in the US, right? And I think this relates everywhere. And one is fear, the fear of God, the wrath of God, right? Whatever you believe in, but that was one of the big things that was taught for many, many years. And there were some rules, things that you shouldn't do, like you shouldn't steal, you shouldn't lie, all that kind of stuff. All basic stuff, right? Nothing over the top. Well, that got eradicated in the 60s, apparently. And the other thing was consequences. There's no consequences anymore. So in California, apparently, I don't know, I'm not there, but you can go into a shop and you can nick 500 quid's worth of stuff, euros worth of stuff, dollars, walk out, and there's not a lot they can do about it. So there's no consequences, so people don't give a shit anymore. They do just what they please, right? And we're in a society now where a huge proportion of people think like that, right? So anyway, I was like, yeah, you're making really good points there. Then the guy starts talking about, and I'm not knocking him for this, I mean, he's sponsored and all that kind of crap, so I don't know. But anyway, he starts yakking on about how much money the US owes, that they're in debt for trillions of dollars. And I'm like, you're really not there, are you? Eh? You know they're lying to you, right? You know they're yanking your chain. You know they've got an agenda, but you still believe their statistics, right? How the fuck would you know how much your country owes? And who does it owe it to? Who's it been borrowing all this money from, right? So trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars, you don't know the bank account numbers, you've never seen the statements, you've never seen money transfers. You're believing again what they're telling you. Yet, you're telling everybody that they're lying to you about A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? You cannot be on the fence. You've either got to be on one side or the other. And then, just before I come out, just been down the woods, get a little bit of dead wood for an extension on the chicken run, right? But just before I came down, this thing pops up, and it's amazing how things pop up all the time now. I'll digress on that one, or digress on that one. I was looking for someone for a long time, an ex-musician friend of mine, who, and we're going to do a podcast about this because it's very interesting, but a guy I played in the band with who married into music royalty, I've said this once before, and literally disappeared. You couldn't find him, right? And he was a great guy, I loved him, you know, we shared an apartment and everything, loved him, right? And all of a sudden, out of the blue, he started to appear all over the internet, old pictures, right? Old pictures of him, you know, 20 years ago and stuff like that. And I was telling my mum, saying, I can't believe that and that's kind of like this manifesting thing, you know. If you look for it, it will appear, right? If you look for it, it will appear. The more you look for it, the more you see, right? And I looked for ages to try and track him down, but it's a long story anyway, which I'm going to put in, but I've forgotten my point now, typically. But again, if you... Oh, that's right, yeah. So anyway, this thing pops up, and it's this guy, right, called Neil. And he's got like almost 500,000 subscribers. And he's sitting there, and and the title of the video was something like, you know, I can't believe the UK Gov is doing this to its citizens, right? And I'm like, are you shitting me? Really? Right? And I looked at some of the comments, something to do with the healthcare thing, right? So I'm looking at some of the comments, and these people are like, it's all part of the plan, mate. It's all part of the plan. Yeah, it's all part of the agenda. Anyway, this guy is sitting there and he maintains he used to be in the army. He was in the army for 10 years. I very much doubt it. If he was either sitting behind a desk, or he was a lieutenant or something. You know, there's like, really, you were in the army for 10 years? You only look like you're about 30, right? I very much doubt it. Anyway, I ended up writing on there, because I do write on some of these things. Nobody ever sees it, because I think I've been blocked anyway. But I said, are you kidding me? Your channel is about what these people are up to, and you're still asking the question, how are they getting away with this? This is part of what the plan is. Didn't you get the memo in 2020? Right? And I was looking at some of the other comments, and there was a lot of really good ones on there about that kind of thing, right? Yeah, that's what they're up to. Don't you realise what they're up to? And then I saw another, I don't know who it was, had written on there to do with old queer Stalin, right? You know, the one that our friend's dad was all excited about because there was a new referendum, right? Which, of course, didn't go anywhere because it's all by design. It's all fake, right? I tried to explain that to him, but no, he wouldn't have it. So, anyway, this guy goes, I think it was the guy, goes, I think it's about time certain person and his cabinet were removed, right? And replaced. And I was like, you just don't understand, do you? They're all part of the same club. And when you understand that, then you will come to the conclusion, like most of us, that the game is rigged. Just like George Carlin said, and he was one of them as well. He was part of the club, of course he was. Opposed, you know, not opposed, opposition, right? But if you can't see it by now, that it is scam after scam after scam, and it's all to do with ultimate control over the people that are left. And this has been planned for generations, drip-fed bit by bit by bit. And those out there say, oh, what a load of rubbish, you don't know what you're talking about. So do some research and find out. And don't tell me that you did your research by looking at InfoWars and that clown, because he's one of them as well, right? Work it out for yourself. Use some common sense. Gut instinct, common sense, right? It's not a good idea to go into a burning building. That kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, so we're going to plan on doing a few things. Again, I was hoping I was going to do something with Mark Mr. E, but he's doing this big, epic sort of podcast thing with this lady at the moment. So the one I want to do about the bands, I'm going to do that probably by myself, maybe even with my mum, because she knows about all that. And I've been watching, whilst I've been doing a load of editing, I've been watching, or had on the background, a podcast series all to do with sort of 80s rock and metal bands. Quite funny, actually, some of these guys. Very funny. Really good sense of humour. But they're all in on it, as far as I'm concerned. They're all in on it. They all pushed the 91 Divock. You know, they're all in on it. They have to be, because that's why they're still there, right? And again, for all you musos out there, I'm sorry to break this to you. I hate the word veteran. I'm a 35-year, 40-year-old veteran, right? There's no such thing as an overnight success, right? Rags to riches does not exist. You might be lucky enough to be picked up by a band to play drums for them or something, but it's all by design, and it's from the 50s onwards. It was used to manipulate people. Mark Devlin, big shout out to Mark, and his books Musical Truth pretty much shows it all. And even if you only again believe, take the 10% rule, it's not difficult to work out that it's all rigged, right? And it's all there to keep you in control and manipulate you. Anyway, well, whatever comes next, keep your heads down, keep your minds open. You know, And do not believe anything that they tell you unless you've done some research, and then you can actually say, well, yeah, actually, I think that's right. But an old friend of mine's dad said to me, you doubt everything, don't you? I went, yeah, I do, mate, yeah. And I said to him, and you believe everything they tell you, don't you? Without any question. Anyway, that's it. First week of 2025, and yeah, exciting times ahead.